Hello there, and welcome back to our channel, the place where we explore how to live our best, healthiest lives, especially as we gain more wisdom with age. Did you ever stop to think that every single bite you take, every choice you make at the dinner table, could be directly influencing not just your energy or your weight, but the very health of your heart? It's a powerful thought, isn't it? Now, what if I told you that some of those vegetables you faithfully add to your plate, thinking you're doing the absolute best for your body, might actually be working against your heart's well-being? It sounds counterintuitive, I know. We're always told to eat more greens, more vegetables. And while that's generally fantastic advice, the truth, as it often is, can be a little more complex, especially for those of us over 60. You see, many seniors I connect with are truly dedicated. They're cutting back on sugar, they're saying no to those obviously unhealthy fried foods, and they're piling their plates high with what they believe are the safest, most nourishing options. But here's a little secret, a nuance that often gets missed. Certain vegetables, particularly when prepared in specific ways, or when they interact with common medications many seniors rely on, could quietly be causing some unexpected trouble for your cardiovascular system. Some might nudge your blood pressure in the wrong direction. Others could unfortunately interfere with those crucial medications that keep you protected. And a few might even carry unwelcome guests, tiny bacteria that our bodies, as we mature, might find a bit tougher to fend off. So in today's discussion, I really want us to take a closer look. I'm not here to tell you to fear your food, but to empower you with knowledge. We're going to explore 5 common vegetables that, under certain circumstances, might warrant a little more caution. We'll look into why they can be tricky, and more importantly, we'll talk about heart-friendly alternatives and safer ways to enjoy the bounty of nature. Because the wonderful news is that these potential risks are often entirely avoidable. It's all about understanding what to look for and how to make informed choices. So I invite you to stay with me, perhaps grab a cup of tea, because the first vegetable we're going to discuss might just be sitting in your refrigerator right now. And before we dive deep, if you haven't yet joined our community, why not take a moment to click that subscribe button and tap the notification bell? That way, you'll never miss out on health insights designed with you in mind. And as we go, if you find this information helpful, how about you type A1 in the comments below? If not, a 0 is perfectly fine. Your feedback truly helps us create better, more useful content for you. Ready? Let's begin. First up is spinach. Spinach. That vibrant leafy green we've all been encouraged to eat since we were children, often hailed as a true superfood. And in many ways, it absolutely is packed with wonderful nutrients. But here's a question for you. Could this champion of health foods sometimes turn into an unexpected concern for seniors, especially if you're managing a heart condition with medication? It's something that many don't realize. You see, spinach is absolutely loaded with vitamin K. Now, vitamin K is essential. Our bodies need it for proper blood clotting, which is vital for healing. But, and this is a significant but for some, if you're taking certain blood-thinning medications, perhaps something like warfarin, which doctors often prescribe after events like a heart attack or stroke, or for conditions such as atrial fibrillation, then a sudden or inconsistent large intake of vitamin K can be problematic. What happens is that too much vitamin K can essentially work against your medication. It can make your blood more prone to clotting, potentially undermining the very protection your medication is trying to provide. Imagine you think you're doing everything right, taking your medicine, eating your greens, But silently, this interaction could be reducing your body's defense against a dangerous clot. It's a subtle thing, not something you'd necessarily feel day to day. Perhaps you've heard stories, or even experienced it, where despite best efforts, health setbacks occur. Sometimes these dietary interactions, unknown to the individual, play a role. Now, this doesn't mean spinach is suddenly off limits forever. Not at all. The real key here is consistency and communication. If you enjoy spinach, the goal is to consume a relatively consistent amount, rather than having very little one week and then massive spinach salads or smoothies the next. And most importantly, always keep your doctor informed about your dietary habits, especially if you're making significant changes or taking medications like blood thinners. What you eat can genuinely support your medication, or it can inadvertently create a hurdle. It's a powerful reminder that not every healthy food is universally beneficial for every single person in every situation. So, if something as lauded as spinach can have these hidden interactions, what other seemingly innocent vegetables might be posing quiet challenges? Let's consider our next one, a very common item, often found tucked away in the fridge, yet it can carry a surprising amount of something we're often told to reduce. If you're still with me and finding this valuable, let me know with a 1 in the comments. It's always great to hear from you. Alright, let's talk about pickled cucumbers, or as many of us call them, pickles. They're wonderfully crisp, they have that tangy kick, and they often seem like the perfect, almost guilt-free addition to a sandwich or a meal. They feel refreshing, don't they? But for us seniors, especially if there's any history of high blood pressure or existing heart concerns, this seemingly harmless snack might be packing more of a punch than we bargained for. Most of us probably don't give a second thought to enjoying a few slices of pickle. But here's the catch. Those delightful green bites are typically soaked in brine. And that brine is often absolutely packed with sodium. We're not talking small amounts here. Sometimes a single serving can contain a surprisingly large portion of the recommended daily sodium limit for older adults. It can be quite an eye-opener when you start reading labels. Now, sodium isn't just about taste. From a physiological standpoint, sodium plays a big role in fluid balance. Too much sodium encourages your body to retain water in your bloodstream. This increases the total volume of blood your heart has to pump, and that, in turn, puts extra pressure on your heart and your blood vessels. Think of it like trying to push more water through the same size pipe. The pressure builds up. Over time, this sustained high pressure can contribute to hypertension, can make arteries stiffer and less flexible, and in the long run, can unfortunately edge the heart closer to conditions like heart failure. I've heard from folks who are baffled because their blood pressure remains stubbornly high, even though they've made so many positive changes. They've cut out the greasy foods, they're trying to be more active, maybe even given up habits like smoking. But they never suspected that the regular inclusion of high-sodium items like pickles or even some canned vegetables and pre-made soups could be quietly undermining their efforts. The really tricky part about sodium's impact is that it often doesn't send out loud warning signals. There might not be obvious symptoms until something more serious happens, like a sudden spike in blood pressure, chest discomfort, or even the diagnosis of congestive heart failure. As we age, our kidneys may not filter out excess salt as efficiently as they once did, and our arteries can become more vulnerable to its effects. So, what can we do? Cooking more meals at home gives you incredible control. Scrutinizing food labels becomes a valuable skill. And how about exploring the wonderful world of herbs, spices, lemon juice, or vinegar to flavor your food instead of relying heavily on salt. These simple shifts can make a world of difference to your heart health. But salt isn't the only hidden challenge. There's another vegetable, often celebrated for its zest, that might look entirely innocent until you consider how it could be igniting a bit of internal fire and subtly nudging your blood pressure. Let's explore that one next. For many of us, food is so much more than just fuel. It's woven into our memories, our cultural heritage, and it's a source of immense comfort and pleasure. And what often brings food to life, giving it that exciting zing? Spice, a little dash of red chili pepper, a stew with a bit of a kick, that satisfying warmth. It's tradition, it's flavor, it's a joy for the palate. But here's something to ponder. Could this fiery little vegetable, especially in its hotter and more concentrated forms, be inadvertently lighting a kind of slow-burning fuse within our cardiovascular system? When we consume very spicy foods, like those containing potent red chili peppers, it can trigger a series of reactions in the body. They can stimulate the nervous system, which can lead to an increase in adrenaline and subsequently a faster heart rate and a temporary rise in blood pressure. Now, for a younger individual with a robust cardiovascular system, this temporary excitement might not pose much of an issue. However, after the age of 60, our arteries might naturally be a bit more rigid, and our hearts can be more sensitive to these kinds of stimulants. This extra physiological jolt can, therefore, become more of a concern. I have heard from seniors who've experienced palpitations, a sense of tightness in the chest, or noticeable spikes in their blood pressure, often after a particularly spicy meal, yet they hadn't connected the dots back to the chili. The issue isn't just the sensation of heat itself, but rather the body's overall stress response to it. Blood vessels can constrict, blood pressure can surge, and if there's any pre-existing heart condition or hypertension, that single spicy indulgence could potentially push the heart into an irregular rhythm or even strain it significantly. Over the long term, frequent consumption of very hot chili peppers might contribute to a state of chronic low-grade inflammation within the vascular system, which can gradually wear down those vital pathways your heart depends on. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm certainly not suggesting a life devoid of flavor. Far from it. The wonderful thing is, you don't necessarily need intense fire to make your food absolutely delicious. Think about the aromatic appeal of mild herbs like basil, oregano, or thyme. Consider the depth that garlic, ginger, or a squeeze of fresh citrus can bring to a dish. It's about listening to your body. Those foods you crave can indeed be comforting, but that comfort shouldn't ideally come at the expense of added cardiac stress. And if even spicy foods can have these silent effects, what about something that's often praised as a natural healer, but when consumed in a particular state, might quickly become a concern? You might find this next one quite surprising. Garlic. It's a culinary staple, and for centuries, it has held a revered place in the world of natural remedies. It's often lauded for its potential to help with cholesterol, for its blood-thinning properties, and for generally supporting heart health. Many seniors trust it implicitly, perhaps adding raw cloves to their meals, or even, as some traditions suggest, swallowing them whole as a form of medicine. And while garlic certainly possesses powerful compounds, we must remember that anything powerful, if misused or misunderstood, can quietly shift from beneficial to problematic. What many might not fully realize is that raw garlic is a rather potent blood thinner. Now, this can be a good thing in some contexts, but if it's combined with certain heart medications, especially anticoagulants like warfarin or even daily aspirin, it can significantly amplify their effects. What does this mean in practical terms? It means your blood could become too thin. This, in turn, increases the risk of issues like excessive bruising, nosebleeds that are hard to stop, or in more serious instances, internal bleeding, which can be quite dangerous. I've heard of individuals who experience these kinds of bleeding issues, or even sudden drops in blood pressure leading to dizziness, all while believing they were making a super healthy choice with their raw garlic intake. Furthermore, consuming large quantities of raw garlic can also lead to an abrupt lowering of blood pressure. For someone who is already taking medication to manage hypertension, this double effect could cause unwelcome symptoms like lightheadedness, significant fatigue, or even fainting spells. If blood pressure drops too low, the heart doesn't receive the adequate blood flow it needs, and that's where real trouble can begin. It can feel so frustrating, can't it? You're trying your best, you're not indulging in obviously unhealthy foods, you're not being careless, you're simply trusting in a remedy that has been celebrated for generations. But the truth is, even natural foods have their limits and their specific contexts. And especially after 60, our bodies can change in how they respond to both foods and medications. The wisest health decisions often come not just from following tradition blindly, but from seeking a deeper understanding of how these things work within your own body today. So, if you love garlic, by all means, enjoy it. Cooked garlic is generally much milder in these effects and still offers wonderful flavor and health benefits. Using it moderately in your cooking is usually fine. But, and this is crucial, always have a conversation with your doctor before making raw garlic a significant daily part of your regimen, especially if you are on any medication. Now, if raw garlic can present such a subtle risk, what about something even more common, something that looks incredibly fresh and crunchy, often eaten raw, but might just be harboring a hidden adversary you can't even see? Let's take a closer look at what might be lurking in that seemingly healthy sprout. They look so appealing, don't they? Fresh, vibrant, almost bursting with life. Raw sprouts, whether alfalfa, bean, radish, or mung bean sprouts, are frequently praised as a superfood. They're known for their delightful crunch, their enzymes, and that feeling of clean, raw energy they seem to promise. For many health-conscious seniors, tossing a generous handful of raw sprouts onto a salad or into a sandwich feels like an unequivocally good choice. But behind their delicate and wholesome appearance, there can sometimes lie a hidden danger, one that could quietly undermine not just your digestive peace, but potentially your heart health too. You see, sprouts are grown in warm, moist environments, and unfortunately, these are the very same conditions that certain unwelcome bacteria like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria absolutely thrive in. Now, for a younger adult with a robust immune system, encountering these bacteria might lead to a few uncomfortable days of digestive upset, and then they recover. However, for seniors, the stakes can be significantly higher. As we age, our immune systems naturally tend to become a bit less powerful, and the body's ability to fight off infections can be slower and less efficient. What might start as a seemingly mild stomachache from contaminated sprouts could, in some cases, rapidly escalate into something more serious like sepsis, severe dehydration, or even a dangerous infection of the heart lining, a condition known as endocarditis. In my conversations with health professionals and from reading various accounts, it's clear that something as seemingly harmless as a batch of contaminated sprouts has, for some older individuals with pre-existing heart conditions, led to hospitalizations, triggered irregular heart rhythms, or worsened situations like congestive heart failure. The body simply cannot effectively heal the heart or manage a chronic condition when it's simultaneously battling a significant infection. And these infections can sometimes be insidious, their initial symptoms perhaps dismissed or misattributed until the situation becomes more critical. The irony here can be quite poignant. You're making a conscious effort to eat fresh, to eat green, to eat clean, only to potentially be affected by the very foods you believed were nourishing you. That's why raw sprouts are something that should never be taken lightly, especially by seniors or those with compromised immune systems. If you truly enjoy them, the safest approach is to cook them thoroughly first. A quick sauté, a gentle steam, or adding them to a hot soup can effectively kill most harmful bacteria while still preserving much of their flavor and some nutritional value. In our journey to protect our hearts and overall well-being, it's not just what we eat, but often how we eat it and how our unique bodies at this stage of life are able to handle it, which might be very different from how we handled things 20 or 30 years ago. After hearing about these potential pitfalls with certain vegetables under specific conditions, you might be wondering, well, what should I be eating to truly protect my heart and stay vibrant? It's a perfectly valid question. And the answer, reassuringly, isn't usually found in chasing trendy superfoods or miracle ingredients. Instead, it lies in embracing a wonderful variety of real, whole vegetables that genuinely support your aging heart's unique needs. We're talking about foods that can help reduce inflammation, assist in balancing blood pressure, nourish your blood vessels, and importantly, work in harmony with any medications you might be taking, rather than against them. Think about gently steamed broccoli, wonderfully roasted carrots that bring out their natural sweetness, kale that's been lightly sautéed with a touch of olive oil, or the comforting goodness of baked sweet potatoes. Cooked tomatoes release more of their beneficial lycopene, and heart-healthy legumes like lentils, chickpeas, and green beans are fantastic choices, rich in fiber and plant-based protein. These kinds of vegetables are generally rich in antioxidants, potassium, beneficial fiber, and various plant compounds that actively work to protect your arteries and lessen the strain on your heart. Unlike the potential issues with high sodium in pickles or bacterial risks in raw sprouts, these gently prepared vegetables are typically kind to your system, easier to digest, and support stable blood sugar and blood pressure levels. After 60, our hearts don't usually need extreme dietary measures. What they thrive on is consistency, balance, and foods that genuinely love you back, so to speak. I've seen and heard countless stories of individuals who have turned their heart health around, not solely through medication, but by mindfully building a plate that is simple, often warm, and deeply healing. Imagine a lovely cup of lightly steamed mixed greens, a colorful baked root vegetable, or a nourishing bowl of bean soup. These small, consistent choices, made day after day, can truly begin to counteract years of silent strain. And if you're worried that healthy food has to be bland or boring, please think again. The world of herbs and spices is your friend. Rosemary, turmeric, a little cooked garlic, fresh lemon or lime juice, dill, parsley, these can all bring incredible flavor to your meals without adding undue stress to your system. Food should nourish not just your heart, but your spirit too. Your heart has been faithfully beating for you since before you were born. An incredible feat, isn't it? Billions of times by the time we reach our senior years, it's never really asked for much in return. But now perhaps it's gently asking for your mindful attention. Aging isn't about decline. It's about accumulating wisdom. And true wisdom means recognizing that what might have worked perfectly well for your body in your youth might need some thoughtful adjustments now. Those vegetables that perhaps you ate without a second thought might, as we've discussed, carry subtle risks now if eaten in certain ways, in large, inconsistent amounts, or alongside particular medications. But here is the most empowering truth. It's very rarely too late. Any potential damage is often not final. Every small, positive change you decide to make today, what you choose to eat, what you choose to moderate, how you decide to move your body, how you prioritize rest, can begin to gently reverse years of accumulated, silent strain. I have heard so many inspiring accounts of seniors who perhaps felt tired, a bit breathless, maybe even a little defeated by health challenges, who then came back with stronger vitality, clearer minds, and a lighter step. And it wasn't usually because they adopted some extreme or punishing regimen. It was because they started to pay closer attention. They listened to their bodies. They made informed, better choices, one meal, one day at a time. You don't need to aim for perfection. That can be overwhelming. Just aim for consistent, thoughtful progress. Your heart still has so much capacity, so much strength, and so much life to share with you, your loved ones, and this beautiful journey you've worked so hard to build. So I encourage you today, revisit your plate with this new awareness. Rethink some of your ingrained habits and feel empowered to reclaim your energy and your heart health, because every single heartbeat is a precious gift, and it's yours to protect and cherish. These discussions are truly meant to inspire you to live fully, authentically, and with vibrant health. Now, I would genuinely love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect. What's one thing you've learned today, or one small change you might consider applying in your own life? Please share it in the comments below. Let's support each other on this ongoing journey toward embracing these vital truths. If you found value in our conversation today, please do leave a comment with a 1. If it wasn't quite what you were looking for, a 0 is also welcome. Your honest feedback is incredibly important to us. And of course, don't forget to like this video, share it with anyone you think might benefit, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content just like this, designed to help you thrive. Thank you so very much for watching. Here's to living life vibrantly and on your own terms.